All right, let's move on to Tanzania because that's where my next guest is from. She's a close friend of mine and she's a truly inspirational human being. She grew up, Ms Sisia, in a farm not just outside of Armidale, Gyra, the only girl in a family of 6 boys, a far cry from her current life where she's now responsible for the education of close to 2,000 students in Tanzania. Back in 2002, Gemma founded the School of St Jude. It's a charity-funded school that aims to educate disadvantaged but bright students in Arusha, a district of Tanzania, to become the moral and intellectual leaders of the country. As she said often to me, they must be the smartest I can find and the poorest of the poor, and only then can we really deliver a new future for Tanzanians. Now, in Tanzania, 70% of people live on less than $2.50 a day in our money, with 2/3 of children outside of her school, of course, unable to access secondary schooling. But thanks to the work of Gemma and Australians, many Australians who donate to her school, and given that the bulk of the funds come from Australia, it's very much an Australian school, 1,800 students annually receive a world-class education. Now, we've talked a lot about this virus from the perspective of a rich first world country like Australia. But given Gemma was here only recently for her annual visit and was forced to cut it short to get home before the borders shut in Africa in early March, I wanted to touch base with her tonight and find out how a poor country in Africa is coping with a virus that's challenged all of us the world over. Ms Sisia joins me now from Tanzania. Great to have you on the show, Gem.
Hi, Chris. Great to talk to you.
Now, I know that you left here. I was just telling my viewers you left here in mid-March to get back because you only had a couple of days' notice that the Kenyan border was shutting and you had to get home into Tanzania, into Arusha. I've been looking on your Instagram page. I've seen you've had some enormous preparations. Tell me what you've been doing in your school to cope with the shutdown, but also all the challenges we've had here, supermarket shortages, how to teach children outside the school. You don't necessarily, like we have computers in the same online environment. How do you make it all work?
So thankfully here in Tanzania, we're used to getting curveballs left, right and centre. And so our managers came together and we thought it's best that we continue educating our students because that's our core purpose of having the School of St Jude. And so a month or two ago, about 6-7 weeks ago, the government of Tanzania declared that all students and university students have to go home. So all of the students that we're supporting in primary, all the students we're supporting in secondary, as well as the 300 plus students in tertiary, all had to go home. And so we wanted to continue educating them. And so all of our teachers came together, and over the last 6 weeks, we've sent them 3 support packs. So the first support packs were all about education and lessons, marking sheets and all of that sort of thing. And then over the last 6 weeks, Corona is starting to really escalate here in Tanzania, and we thought that we might not be able to, we might have to lock down. Now, officially, there's been no lockdown in Tanzania. Financially, we can't afford that in Tanzania. And, you know, people who have sadly lost all their jobs, but we normally get millions and millions of tourists who come to Tanzania
to look at all the elephants and Serengeti, and we've had 0 tourists coming in. So there's a lot of people in town losing their jobs. There's no dole here, sadly, in Tanzania, so you can't go and get support from the government. And so over the last week, about a week ago, we sent out an appeal to everyone we knew if they would be willing to help provide a Corona educational food pack to about 2,000 of our students and families. And we were overwhelmed. Within 48 hours, pretty much all the Corona, all these family food packs were paid for. And so every family gets maize, other staple foods like beans, rice. They also get a big bottle of sanitizer because not everyone has access to water, sadly, to wash their hands. Many of our families have to walk for 1 kilometre to the local tap. So sanitizer is important. Although we did give them lots and lots of soap, we also gave them exercise books and another study pack, because the government has now declared here that schools will be closed indefinitely, and who knows what the word indefinitely means. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, but until further notice.
Gemma, you get a lot of your money out of Australia, $6 million it costs you to educate, feed, clothe, house your children every year. If the schools are shut indefinitely and you haven't got the computers and all the other facilities we do here in Australia, and if you have to even feed them by sending out these packs, how on earth do you catch these kids up when you do eventually get them back to school?
Well, it's pretty hard because there's no electricity. Our kids don't have access to electricity or data or smartphones or anything. So the way we would just simply have to continue delivering support packs to them in the coming weeks.
That's the best we can do.
And just quickly before we go, tell me, what's the coronavirus caseload like more broadly outside your school in Tanzania?
Look, it's escalating pretty quickly. So sadly, it's getting quite close to school. We've had a staff or two whose family members have passed away officially. But so we're just ensuring that everybody washes their hands. So we've put a lot of washing stations around the school. Everyone is social distancing. The staff who are coming to school, we have doubled the buses. So everybody has to sit at least like 2 seats between each other. All of our admin staff are spread between the empty campuses so that everyone's desk is a couple of metres between each other. So we're just socially distancing because in the end, even with corona, we still have to make sure that these students get education, our staff remain employed, and just got to get through it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right to underscore the point. There is no welfare safety net in Tanzania. Just before we go, where can people go to get more information if they feel so inclined? I know things are tough here in Australia too, to donate or to help in any way. Where can they get more information?
Just on the website, School of St Jude, Tanzania, and if they would like, if they could make a donation, we're giving the support packs to our staff because a number of our staff, families and parent members and spouses have lost their jobs. Or in a few weeks' time, we'll be running our annual appeal, and that's going to be really, really needed, especially around the food and the educational side. Especially because normally we get over 1,000 visitors to the school who help with the fundraising, but with no visitors to Tanzania, there's a lot of hurt currently in our part of the world, like there is everywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's tough at the moment, particularly tough though, Gem, where you are. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, Ms Sisia.
Thanks.